Superman Legacy has been busy casting and filling out its extensive roster of characters. So James Gunn has now most recently added Jimmy Olsen and Eve Teschmacher to the list of characters. And the two people who were cast to play this role, I feel like one of the I don't know who Eve Teschmacher's character really who that actress is. Like John, let me ask you this question. Have you ever heard of Sarah Sampaio? And because I know that Skylar Gisondo, who's going to be playing James Olsen or Jimmy Olsen, he's like been in Disney like shows before. Like that's where I remember him from, like Disney Channel. Like what? And so yeah, I just wanted to know, like, what is your reaction on this casting? And then have you seen any other projects with these actors in before?
Now I definitely know Skylar Gisondo. He's been a one of the many fan casts I've seen for this character, similar to David Cornsweet. David Cornsweet was definitely a big fan cast for a while for Superman, and I feel like it shows that James Gunn what can see what the fans want. At least with Skylar Gisondo's casting, because that's been a major fan cast, and from what I've seen him in, he's been in a couple things. He was in I actually recently saw one of his movies a couple weeks back. It was the Halloween remake. He didn't do a whole lot there, but he was also in the Vacation remake. He was in one of the Night at the Museum movies, and he definitely fits the vibe of someone who's like really weird and awkward. And I feel like he could definitely fit Jimmy Olsen as well, even though he wasn't like, one of my top tier, because I love to fan cast stuff. He wasn't my top tier, but now that I see him, now that he's been cast, I'm like, oh yeah, that definitely works. He definitely can pull off like that sort of weird, awkward Superman's pal sort of thing. I could definitely see that working. Now, unfortunately, on the other side of things, Sarah Sampaio, I'm not as familiar with her. I apologies to her, but it seems like she's mostly a model and kind of done some other smaller credits here and there. So, but again, that kind of feeds into more of the unknown, like sometimes it's good that we don't get someone who is so well known and someone who is probably going to have a small role in the film, probably even smaller than Lex Luthor, maybe even bigger than Lex Luthor. Who knows? Maybe she's like kind of the one that introduces Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is definitely more in the background and she's more in the forefront. That could definitely work as well. But you know what? Unknowns can definitely work because, again, with Gunn being so aware of what the fans want to see with Cornsweet and Gisondo, as well as Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, I feel like he can afford some unknowns that he believes in. Because look at the Suicide Squad, when he cast Daniela Melchior, and she was as Ratcatcher 2, and she was a huge hit with fans. And she went on to be in Fast X. She's going to be in, I believe, another film that's going to be like a streaming only film. So that
Yeah.
proves that he definitely knows what talent he can find with more of the unknown side. So I'm excited
Yeah.
for both. I just want to see Jimmy Olsen. Like I feel like that was definitely a big mistake in the DCEU side, because he is the audience's like relation. Like, there's a specific word for it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But
Like maybe
he,
that's just the audience's conduit into
yeah, the conduit,
experiencing the world of
yes.
Superman. Yeah.
And because it makes us believe that we can be Superman's pal. He is us. We see the world through him, and the fact we didn't get that, and honestly, in a really offensive manner in the DCEU, it definitely, I definitely would love to see that, and more into that dorky portrayal, because I don't have anything against Makad Brooks. He did the role very well on Supergirl. One of the
I
very
thought
few
he,
things that Supergirl did well. He
yeah,
um he was like too cool. Like he was cool. Like that's not Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy
that's
Olsen's a dork,
to
you
me
know?
that was like no, exactly, because I was like I don't know if this is very comic book accurate because Mehcad Brooks, like I think they cast him, then they maybe realized that Jimmy Olsen might not have been his best fit because Jimmy Olsen got a pretty big upgrade in terms of his like everything. I mean, not to mention he becomes the Guardian.
Yeah.
So,
I just
um,
I would love to see Superman's pal, Superman's
yeah,
little nerdy pal, because I think that works. That's the humanity we need. And I think James Gunn is definitely leaning into that, the
yeah,
more hopeful humanity that Superman brings. And I feel like adding Jimmy Olsen mainly is a great addition. And Eve Teschmacher is definitely she's even though she was made for Superman the movie back in 1978, she could definitely be a fun time. I would prefer Mercy Graves, but that's just me. But it's definitely it
I mean, we
seems
might
like
get that still.
yeah, we could
Like,
get that still. So who knows? Maybe like more of a combination character like it was on Smallville. But I'm
yeah,
excited for both, and I think both are going to do very well. If Gunn, since Gunn knows his unknowns, he knows the talent well, and he also is giving us what the fans want at the same time in terms of fan casting that we've seen. So I'm definitely excited to see the both of them in this film, whatever role they may
yeah.
bring.
Yeah, I mean, from for me, both like when you mentioned Night of the Museum, I was like, oh yes, that's where I remember last seeing Scarlett Gisondo because he was, I think he played like the son
Yeah.
yeah, of Ben Stiller's character, which I don't think he's in, or was he in all of them? Because
I
he
think he was
grows
only
up.
in the third one because I
Was he
think
only in
he
the third one?
recasted the son. This there was one son character that was in the first
Accurate, yeah,
two, and
first
then I
two,
think
yeah.
they recast him. Maybe the
I
kid
think you
had
might be
schedule
right,
conflicts or got too
but
old.
definitely he was in
So
the third one. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And you know, Sarah Sampaio, like we look at her credits on IMDb, and I was just looking through those while you were, you know, mentioning her past experience. Yeah, you know, she's mostly been a model. She has done some film work, but I again, I don't think like if you are casting the character of Eve Tessmacher, you necessarily need somebody who's you know, one of the best actors going in Hollywood today. Like it's not a role that I don't imagine would require you to bring in somebody the caliber of who you might bring in for Lois Lane. And yes, I also think like in the DCEU, there was a lot of backlash about how they treated Jimmy Olsen. I mean, you know, for all the positive fandom around Zack Snyder, I think people, if I remember actually reading articles speculating that the Jimmy Olsen who was, you know, secretly a CIA agent at the beginning of Batman v Superman and just gets killed off a few minutes into the movie, that he wasn't really the real Jimmy Olsen of the DCEU. I mean, of course, we don't, you know if that was true or not. For all, we did see the original actor who played Jimmy Olsen in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies play like a cop in Justice League, which was a nice, you know,
yeah, nice
tribute
nod.
and nice touch. But definitely, I think even Mercy Graves, like the way they treated her, she gets blown up in Batman and Superman. Like Lex Luthor just didn't care. He was like
Yeah,
everybody but me. Like that Lex Luthor, like Jesse, I was truly crazy. I mean, and I'm like I'm actually kind of interested in seeing like how all these characters interact because, like you said, they're going for a much more traditional, much more harkening back to like the Christopher Reeves era of character sets. And also, if you look at, I mean, I'll pull this up right now. If you go to James Gunn's social media pages, like I pulled up his threads, and you look at like this image he posted. He's got like this all-star Superman and Superman for all seasons like artwork in his
hmm
office. And like the only thing that really bothers me about it, I mean, I love the look and the classic, you know, upbeat everything that he's got there. The only thing that bothers me is that all of the Supermen have like they're wearing the red tights. And I always thought that it made sense to not have like the underoos in the live action Superman, and but Man of Steel got rid of that, and all the movies and TV iterations since we haven't seen it. I was like, yeah, I think we have moved past it, but maybe he'll bring it back. Who knows? But and as far as Jimmy Olsen goes and Eve Teschmacher, yeah, I think you made some good points. We'll probably be getting much more comic accurate interpretations of the characters, but also, yeah, I think James Gunn not only knows what the fans want, but I think at the same time, he's not casting these people because he just thinks they're good fan casting. I think
yeah.
he's
He
looking at their
genuinely
auditions and
believes
saying these are good fits for the
these
script
are
that I've got.
genuinely good
So
fits.
Yeah, so guys, let us know in the comments what you think about it. Both John and I, of course, are excited to see how this all plays out. There's a long list of characters Superman Legacy is already cast. I'm sure there's more to come. So let us know in the comments what you think about these two, and what other characters would you cast in Superman Legacy? What other Superman related characters, maybe other Justice League characters you'd like to see in the upcoming Superman Legacy?